Hey guys, welcome back to my channel once again. Ken Roy here. Thank you so much for joining me on another video which I'm hoping will be able to benefit you today. Now if you're new to this channel, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And while you're here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hopefully the information and the content that I'll be bringing weekly will be able to benefit you, especially when it comes to property. Now the question that I want to look at today: is the government stamp duty holiday a trick? Is it a ploy? Is it really worth you actually taking part in? I hope that by the end of this video you would at least actually be able to consider some of these points that I've made and then be able to decide whether or not this scheme, this incentive is actually something that will actually save you money, because at the end of the day, when it comes to buying property, everyone wants to save money. So the government stamp duty holiday, is it really worth it? That's the point that we really want to tackle today. Now before we move forward, let's step back a bit. Cast your mind back to 2020, around this time in March. The UK was just headed into its first lockdown. Nobody was anticipating the kind of damage that this coronavirus pandemic would have caused. Fast forward to the end of summer and the property market was taking a downturn because so many people were locked up in their homes and were unable to view properties and of course purchase their home or investment properties. Chancellor Rashid Sunak actually came up with an incentive to help boost the economy and actually stop the housing market from crashing by incentivizing and getting rid of stamp duty up to £500,000. Now what does this actually mean for many people? So it said that this stamp duty holiday could potentially save you, if you're looking to buy your property as a first-time buyer or perhaps second-time buyer, a maximum of around £15,000, which is a huge amount of money that you could potentially save when buying your property. What this basically then allowed was for a market that was seeing a downturn, that was going so slow, to actually receive a huge boost, and we saw a boom in property viewing, property prices actually going up, and people actually buying more houses. This of course seems great for the economy and is a source of what we want to talk about today. Now this stamp duty holiday was set to end on the 31st of March 2021, and it said that on average it would save buyers around £4,500 on stamp duty. So that's money, cash, that they would not have to pay for potentially purchasing their property, which of course is a fantastic deal, and many people of course flock to buying their first home or potentially, like I said, a second property. Now while this has been absolutely fantastic for the economy, and the housing market and the building market has seen an increase and a boost from this, we also have to look at some of the negative and other aspects that this has actually affected. Now because of COVID-19 has brought so much uncertainty with job employments and people losing their jobs, and this is said to increase as the months progress, especially when furlough has ended. Many banks and lenders have removed the 90% loan to value and the 95% loan to value packages, deals, mortgages that were on the market. This basically means that rather than needing a 10% deposit, which is typical for first-time buyers or people who are looking to buy their property, now you find it very difficult to actually find mortgages with just 10% or potentially 5% deposit. Now the knock-on effect from this basically means that there are a lot less favorable rates when it comes to mortgages, so you'll actually be paying more for the property over the length of your mortgage. Now another thing that has been affected by this stamp duty holiday and the boost that the market has seen is that house prices have absolutely shot up. Now because of the demand for houses, we've actually seen a rise in house prices from 5.9% a year ago to now 7.6%. This is a huge increase in such a short space of time. Basically what has happened is, as the demand for houses has increased and more people are viewing properties, looking to potentially leave the cities, find a house, their first home potentially, and settle down, the demand for houses have really shot up. This is great for sellers because they can now command a higher value on their property So you now have estate agents charging well above what the house was valued just 6 to 12 months before because of the demand. I'll give you a prime example of this. Last year summer I looked at a property, this was during lockdown, and it was on the market for around £100,000. That very same property wasn't sold for months because of the lockdown. Fast forward to December of last year when I last checked it, that property eventually sold for just over £110,000. Nothing was changed on that property except the fact that there was so much interest and demand in actually people trying to secure a home. The seller could actually ask for a much higher value on their property, and because of the demand, they were actually more certain that they'll be able to achieve that. Now, many people were just about to miss out on the stamp duty holiday because on the 31st of March, this was set to come to an end. But the Chancellor in his latest budget has just announced that there will be an extension in the stamp duty holiday up until the 30th of June 2021. Now this is based on the zero rate band. Now in my opinion, the government is trying to taper this down so that folks who will be missing out on the stamp duty holiday will actually have enough time to get their applications through. But of course, because of the demand and the amount of actual homes that are being sold, solicitors are finding it very difficult to complete in a short space of time. Now properties up to £250,000 after the 30th of June will also see a grace period which will last up until the end of September. So from October 1st, everything will return back to normal in terms of stamp duty, where you will be paying the normal rates above £125,000. Now, after considering all that I've just said, that a potential buyer could save themselves on stamp duty around £4,500, and those who are at the higher end could save potentially £15,000 on stamp duty. Now this obviously is a fantastic amount of savings, and of course if this is something that you're able to do, then go right ahead. But I want you to consider these factors. The first one is that house prices have absolutely shot up since the stamp duty holiday. So you have to then consider and calculate whether or not the price that you're now paying for that property far outweighs the stamp duty holiday that you're initially paying. Now let's just look at a little scenario for an example. Now this is just to show you how the stamp duty holiday may not be such a great deal if the figures don't add up. Say for example, you were buying a property for £250,000 before the stamp duty holiday. You've then heard the great news about the stamp duty holiday and the prospects of saving yourself, let's say for example, £4,500. This is a fantastic deal and you definitely want to take the plunge. Since the stamp duty holiday is taking effect, however, let's factor in that that same property that was being sold for £250,000 is now worth £260,000. That's an extra £10,000 that's just been added out of nowhere for that property. So although you'll be saving yourself £4,500 for that property in stamp duty, you have to then also take into consideration that there will be an extra £5,500 added to the value of that property. Now let's also consider the fact that there might actually be less favorable rates available, especially with many banks and lenders removing that 90% loan to value deal. So that 10% mortgage that you would normally get will now have to be pushed to 15%. Now it doesn't stop there, guys. Let's also consider the fact that the furlough scheme will also be coming to an end shortly. And when this does happen, it will have a negative impact on the economy as well as the housing market. The final thing to consider on whether or not the stamp duty holiday is a good deal if you're looking to buy a property right now is the simple fact that that property that you bought for £260,000 now, which was previously on the market for £250,000, will it actually be worth that amount at the end of the furlough scheme and the stamp duty holiday, as we know that the economy will be affected by these two changes? Now, in my humble opinion, I do believe that this stamp duty holiday can be beneficial for someone who's buying their property. However, it all depends on whether or not they're buying that property below market value. Now, I always advocate, no matter if you're buying your own home or in investment properties, always make sure that the numbers add up. Never buy at the asking price unless you know for a fact that that asking price is actually a good deal. So we should always try to buy below market value. So for example, that property that was on the market for £260,000 in this current bubble, I would be looking to actually purchase that property for far below that. I'll be looking to purchase that property for around 250,000 or below. If the market would then take a downturn, you wouldn't lose out because you would have actually bought that property for below the market value. So instead of paying £260,000 for that property, if you were to say pay 245 or 50,000, you would have saved yourself some money to give you a cushion in case the market takes that downturn. So that's my views, guys, on this stamp duty holiday. It can actually be a benefit if you're buying the property below the market value. However, if you're paying a premium, then you might already be paying over the odds, and that saving that you're actually making, you could actually be breaking even, or worse, paying less for what the value of that property actually is. As always, it's all up to you to make sure that you do your due diligence and check the figures before you make that commitment. Now, my question to you is, have you taken advantage of the stamp duty holiday? Also, if you're considering it but you haven't yet taken advantage of the stamp duty holiday, what are your views on it? Do you think that it's actually worth it? Or is it something that in the long run can actually cost you money? Okay guys, if you made it this far in this video, I want to say a huge thank you. And while you're here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as I continue to bring weekly content that will hopefully be able to benefit you. As always, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I look forward to hearing your comments down below. This is Ken Roy saying, I'll see you when you see me. Take care.